He was very happy because all the leukemia cells had been destroyed. And little did we know what was around the next corner. Right at the beginning of the second chemotherapy, he was excreting blood to the point of 2 litres a day, and you've only got 8 litres of blood in your body. It was terrifying, very, very scary. And apparently the nurses asked him at 3 a.m. in the morning, "Do you want to call home?" i.e., you know, these are almost like your last hours.
I was awake all night, and doctors and nurses crawling all over me. I've collected some extra bits and pieces, as you can see here, as a consequence. Basically, I was passing blood every time I went to the toilet, and so I was having to be transfused and making sure that my blood levels were above what I was losing and so on. And it was a rather dreadful night. The doctors promised me it would calm down in the morning, and it did.
I looked for a yoga teacher to come in to help Seán relax. And during my search for a yoga teacher, I came across a different variety of faith healers, and I asked one to come and visit Seán, and he did, and he laid his palms on Seán. As far as we can see, it had no effect, certainly at the time, but one never knows. Maybe he did. And I also sent Seán's photograph off to another faith healer, and the yoga teacher finally did come and was helpful. And occasionally I joined in, actually, in his yoga lessons, and we listened to his Zen umming.
New development is that I've had problems with eating, and I'm just getting back into it, and the consequence of these problems, where I've been sick almost just at the thought of food. You lose your appetite anyway because of the chemotherapy, and you lose your taste, and your saliva doesn't work properly and so on, so you've got no interest in food. So in my case it became so difficult that they put me on this. And this white bag contains everything that you need for food, and it's dripped into me for 24 hours a day. Today is good news. I'm discharged from hospital after only 2 bouts of chemotherapy, and waiting to go forward for my bone marrow transplant.
He cried when he came home. He was so happy in one way, and realised how dangerous it had all been. So it was all the tension of the past weeks coming in on top of him, and the relief of being there at long last.
And coming home is quite difficult in a way. I mean, you reflect on all that it means to you that you've missed, you know, for such a long time. I found it quite emotional just to see my things, my ordinary things, you know, even like my candlesticks. It was quite, well, it was tearful coming back.
I took time off work and I used to drive him around, and actually we had some of our happiest days in between his treatment, and just day trips, for example, to Brighton, and that was excellent.
This is University College Hospital, and this is where the bone marrow transplant is going to be done. So this is going to be my home for the next 4 or 5 weeks, and the operation, such as it is, will be taking place here. This is my chemotherapy in UCH, in my room, and this is where I'm going to have to be for 5 weeks. I feel quite relaxed about it, and I feel I'm on the final course of a difficult trek. This extraordinary machine is, well, it's the most fantastic thing I've come across so far. It's changing my blood group from O positive to A positive, because Sarah, my sister's blood, is A positive, so I have to match her. So from now on I'm going to be A positive. And the blood comes out of my arm, this is around the machine, comes back into my chest, and that's the first stage of becoming a different blood group. It's fantastic.
They harvested my bone marrow this morning. It was more difficult than they thought, so they took it from various different sites, and it's truly painful now. But hopefully this means it's the beginning of the end of Seán's illness and the start of his cure. So it makes it worthwhile.
Sarah was fantastic, a real lifesaver, and she didn't complain at all at the pain that the needles breaking into her breast and her hip bones caused, even though she was sick with pain afterwards. All bone marrow donors are fantastic. And for Seán it was much easier. He simply watched the bone marrow drip into him like so many blood transfusions before.
You see this stuff here? This is diamorphine. It's just about heroin. It's being put into me as a painkiller. Because I had a real problem with my throat as we moved into the no white cells phase after the chemotherapy that I had to cover my bone marrow transplant. And so I'm in great pain all through my mouth. I can't eat or drink, so they have to find the strongest thing to counteract that. And this brother of heroin seems to be the man to do the job. How strange. Basically, I've been high for a day.
At times I felt quite lonely because he was so out of it and so far away and so not himself. Although I saw how much pain and how dreadful it was what he was suffering, I did know that he was going to come through this and he'd be himself again, so it probably wasn't as terrible as it looks.
I've heard the best news from the doctors this morning. They came in and told me that the graft is taken, which is signified by a certain reaction, which is healthy. So, so far a success.
Just been back at home, and it's nice. I go home for an evening or something and don't do very much necessarily, but it's nice, better to do it there than here. But the doctors keep saying, oh, you should be out by so-and-so and so-and-so, and I'm not, and you know, the days keep getting put back. It gets a bit demoralising, really, but this last haul is very tedious. Now is the hour, it's time to go. I'm leaving hospital. But you don't jump up and down, and it's kind of depressing in a way, because you've got to take bags full of pills and things like that over here.
Leaving the hospital, he was very slow to move out and very unsure of himself and really depressed. The main reason for that is because the doctors never said, this is it, you're free now, you're completely cured. I think that Seán has made a remarkable recovery of returning to how he was before. I mean, I don't imagine anybody could do it quite so quickly. I mean, not even 2 months after having come out of hospital, he's back at work full-time.
Religion is a great creator of ritual and of symbolism, like, say, the monarchy or the House of Lords.
I certainly found there was no consolation in looking towards religion. I put all my trust in the medical treatment he was receiving, and so did Seán. But who knows, other people were praying for us throughout. All our friends I know were kindly lighting candles for Seán, and Mass was being said for him. I think anybody going through this sort of thing needs a kindred spirit and needs somebody who can relate to them and feel with them the suffering. And I was extremely grateful to be the one he was turning to, and forever we will have that memory together of how we fought through these difficult times.
As the Father had loved me.
1 year, 1 month, and 1 week after Seán went into hospital, we were married.
It's spring 2015, about the end of March, and it's exactly 20 years since I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. Unlike most cancers, after 5 years, doctors will say that you're cured. But it's not only my life, thanks to the NHS and Corinna. Since then, the cure was full, and there are 4 more lives. And there's Jude, who's now 15. He was the first one. And then there follows Jake, aged 14. And Freya, who's 13. And Finn, who is 11. I make it a total of 74 extra years, 3/4 of a century of extra years of life that have followed. The battle against cancer is being won, but 4/5 of the people diagnosed with leukemia still don't make that 5 years. So we need to spend more money on research. So I'm asking you to send money to leukemia research, say £20 for the 20 years to mark this anniversary. That would be great, and thank you very much.